The human stepped carefully onto the alien soil, each footfall making a soft crunch that echoed strangely in the quiet. The sky above glowed with colors he had never seen before, deep violet clouds twisted with streaks of green, and two suns hung low, casting long shadows across the jagged landscape. He had traveled far from Earth, driven by curiosity and the promise of discovery, but nothing had prepared him for this planet. He paused and looked around. The plants here were strange, some seemed to hum softly, others had leaves that glimmered like glass. Strange shapes floated in the air, moving slowly as if they had minds of their own. A shiver ran down his spine. The world was beautiful, yes, but it felt alive in a way he could not understand. Then he saw her. At first, she was just a shadow among the glowing vines. A small figure, crouched and trembling. Her skin shone faintly, almost like the plants, and her eyes were wide with fear. She was not much taller than a child, yet there was something about her that made the human pause. "Hello," he called softly, stepping closer. The alien girl froze. Her eyes widened, and she shook her head violently. Then, in a voice that was small but desperate, she screamed, "Please, stop." The human blinked. That was strange. She was screaming at him? But why? He took another step forward, ignoring the fear that prickled at the back of his neck. "Hey, calm down. I'm not going to hurt you," he said, his voice gentle. The girl shook her head again, louder this time. Her small hands waved frantically, pointing behind him, then at the ground. It made no sense. He frowned, thinking maybe she didn't understand him, or maybe she wanted him to follow her somewhere. Curiosity pushed him forward. As he approached, the ground beneath his boots seemed to react. The glowing plants shivered as if sensing his presence. A low hum filled the air, vibrating in his chest. He stopped, staring at the alien girl. "Why are you scared?" he asked softly. The girl's scream came again, sharper now. "Stop. Please, don't touch it." He frowned. "Touch what?" She pointed toward a cluster of strange glowing stones nearby. They pulsed with light like living hearts. The human bent down to inspect them, reaching out with cautious fingers. "Wait," she cried. But it was too late. The moment his fingers brushed the smooth surface of one stone, the ground trembled violently. A low roar echoed across the valley, shaking the trees and vines around them. The human stumbled backward, eyes wide with shock. The alien girl clung to him, pulling him away, but the tremor was stronger now. Small rocks and glowing plants began to float, spinning in the air as if gravity itself had turned against him. "What did I do?" he whispered, panic rising. The girl's eyes were wide with terror. She grabbed his arm and shook him hard. "You don't understand. Stop." He tried to step back, but the tremor had thrown him off balance. The floating rocks circled around them, glowing lines cutting through the violet-green sky. The girl tugged him again, leading him away from the stones, but he was frozen, staring at the strange energy spiraling around the place. "This is amazing," he said, mixing with fear. "No." "Dangerous," the girl screamed. Her small hands reached for his chest, pushing him back as if trying to shield him from something he could not see. A sudden pulse of energy shot up from the stones. The ground cracked beneath their feet. The human stumbled and fell, rolling to the side just as a glowing shard shot up into the sky. The alien girl pressed herself against him, her body trembling. I don't understand," he said, looking around. "Why are these stones so alive?" "They are alive," she whispered urgently. "Humans, not safe here. Don't touch." He looked at her, trying to read her expression. There was fear, yes, but also something else, desperation, maybe pleading. He realized she had been trying to warn him the entire time, but he had ignored her. Suddenly, the air itself seemed to scream. A low, vibrating sound filled his ears, and the glowing stones pulsed faster, brighter, almost angrily. The vines and plants around them writhed, stretching toward the sky as if trying to flee. The human's heart raced. I think I've made a mistake." The girl's small hand gripped his arm tightly. "Please, stop. You must listen. And then it happened. The ground beneath them split, sending a shower of glowing rocks into the air. The human and the alien girl rolled to safety behind a large, twisted tree. Dust and strange glowing particles filled the air, making it hard to see. He looked at her, and for the first time, he truly understood the danger. The girl was not just scared, she knew what would happen if he didn't listen. And whatever that was, it could destroy everything around them. "Okay," he said, his voice low and shaky. I won't touch anything. I promise." The girl nodded slowly, but her eyes were still wide with fear. The energy around them pulsed once more, as if deciding whether to accept his promise. The human took a deep breath, looking around at the alien world. He had come seeking discovery, adventure, and knowledge, but he realized now that some things were far more dangerous than he had imagined. The alien girl let out a small, shaky sigh. "You, listen now?" "Yes," he said. "I'll listen." She nodded again, then pointed toward a narrow path winding between the glowing stones and twisted trees. Without a word, she began to walk, glancing back to make sure he followed. The human hesitated for only a moment before stepping after her. The world around them still hummed and shivered, but for now, the immediate danger had passed. But he knew one thing: this was only the beginning. And somewhere deep in the glowing shadows, something watched them, waiting. The moment the human followed the alien girl, the world around them seemed to breathe. The glowing stones pulsed like hearts, faster now, almost angry. The air vibrated with a hum that felt alive, and the ground under their feet shivered with each pulse. Every step they took sent tiny sparks of energy dancing across the soil. The alien girl ran ahead, small but quick, leading him through twisted paths of glowing plants and floating rocks. Her eyes never left him, scanning to make sure he followed. She pointed to a narrow crevice in the jagged cliffs and motioned for him to go first. Hesitating, he obeyed. As he stepped into the shadowed path, the ground groaned. Rocks shifted, creating strange shapes that looked almost like hands reaching out for him. He swallowed hard, feeling the first true pangs of fear since he had arrived on this planet. Why is everything moving?" he whispered. "Planet alive," the girl said, her voice small but urgent. "It watches. Protects itself." He blinked. "Protects itself from me?" She nodded. "Humans, careless. Dangerous." Suddenly, a massive branch of a glowing tree snapped overhead, crashing down where he had been moments ago. The air smelled strange, metallic and electric, and he realized that every motion he made seemed to trigger a reaction. The planet itself was warning him or punishing him. The alien girl tugged him along, faster now. Faster. "Don't stop." As they ran, he noticed something strange: shadows in the glowing mist didn't match the shapes of the rocks or plants. They moved independently, circling them, twisting like smoke with intent. And in the distance, he saw flashes, sharp beams of light leaping from the stones, slicing through the air. What is that?" he gasped. "Energy, angry," she said. "You woke it." The words hit him like a shock. He had thought touching the stones was a small mistake, but apparently, it was far more serious. He glanced at the alien girl. Her eyes were wide, her tiny hands trembling, but she was moving with purpose. "Where are we going?" he asked, trying to keep up. "Safe place. Must hide. Must think," she said. They ducked under a thick canopy of glowing vines. The energy pulses from the stones reached even here, vibrating the air. The human pressed himself against the soft, pulsing plant wall, heart pounding. He realized that the entire planet was alive, and it did not like him. The alien girl crouched beside him. She pointed to the sky. Two suns hung over the horizon, casting eerie shadows. And between them, he saw it, a figure, enormous, moving among the glowing stones. Its shape was not fully clear, but it radiated power. Every pulse of energy seemed connected to it, as if the creature controlled the stones themselves. The human swallowed hard. "Is that what I woke?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, if touch is wrong, world ends." A shiver ran down his spine. He had always believed humans were clever, capable of understanding alien worlds. But now, confronted by the raw, living energy of this planet, he realized just how small and fragile they were in comparison. The ground trembled again. Small rocks lifted into the air, spinning around them. The vines bent like giant snakes, blocking their path forward. The alien girl grabbed his arm and pulled him through a narrow gap. "Listen. Must obey." He nodded, trying to focus. The fear was rising, but so was determination. They had to survive. He had to prove humans could be careful, clever, and compassionate even here. Suddenly, the energy pulse changed. Instead of swirling violently, it concentrated, forming a narrow beam shooting into the sky. The alien girl covered her eyes, muttering something in her strange language. The human could not understand, but he felt the warning, they were running out of time. He glanced at her. "Tell me what to do," he shouted. She hesitated, then pointed to a small cluster of stones along the cliff wall. "Together, stop energy," she said simply. The human nodded. He didn't fully understand, but he trusted her. Together, they ran, dodging floating rocks and pulsing vines. The energy around them felt alive, almost aware. Every wrong step could trigger another disaster. As they reached the stones, the alien girl grabbed his hands, placing them over the largest one. Her eyes met his. "Focus. Feel, listen." He did as she said, closing his eyes and trying to sense the energy. A hum filled his ears, vibrating through his bones. The stone pulsed against his palms, and he felt a surge of fear, but also something else, connection. Suddenly, the energy surged violently, lifting him off the ground for a heartbeat. He gasped, but the girl held him steady, murmuring words he couldn't understand. Slowly, the stone calmed. The pulsing slowed, the floating rocks settled, and the vines uncurled. The human opened his eyes. The planet around them seemed quieter now, but the air still hummed with life. He looked at the alien girl, who gave a small, relieved nod. "You survived," she said simply. He nodded, breathing hard. "Thanks to you." She didn't smile, but he could see it in her eyes, a fragile trust, a fragile alliance. But as they began to move forward again, a shadow passed across the glowing stones. Something much larger than the alien girl, much larger than anything he had seen, watched them from the darkness. And he knew, deep in his gut, that the consequences of his mistake were far from over. The planet had forgiven them for now. But it would not forgive forever. The shadow moved before them, stretching across the glowing stones like a living nightmare. The human froze. The alien girl's small hand gripped his arm tightly, shaking. Her eyes were wide with fear, but she didn't run. She had brought him here for a reason, she knew there was a way to survive. The ground trembled beneath them, sending tiny shards of glowing rock spinning into the air. The hum of the planet's energy was louder than ever, like a heartbeat amplified 1,000 times. The human took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. He had made mistakes, ignored warnings, but now, there was only one chance to fix everything. "Tell me what to do," he shouted, over the roar of the energy. The girl pointed to the largest stone at the center of the clearing. "Touch, together. Feel, listen. Now." He nodded. His hands trembled as he reached for the stone. The alien girl's tiny hands joined his, and the energy surged through him instantly. It was overwhelming, sharp, alive, demanding attention. He had never felt anything like it. Panic flared in his chest, but he focused. He remembered everything she had shown him, the small patterns of energy, the pulses, the flow. Slowly, he mirrored them with his hands, moving carefully, as though he were playing a delicate instrument. The planet trembled violently, almost rejecting him, but he didn't stop. Sweat ran down his face, heart pounding like a drum. The alien girl whispered strange words, guiding him, and slowly, the energy began to respond. A massive shadow loomed closer, a creature larger than anything the human had imagined. Its form was alien, terrifying, yet it watched him intently, as though judging his every move. He realized this wasn't just a creature, it was the guardian of the planet's energy, the force that maintained balance. Then, a sudden thought struck him. Humans were clever, adaptable. He could understand patterns, notice connections others might miss. He focused, matching his rhythm with the energy pulses, syncing with the planet instead of resisting it. The alien girl's eyes widened as she saw the human begin to control the flow, not with strength, but with understanding. The shadow paused, studying him. The floating rocks slowed. The glowing vines ceased their wild movements. Slowly, the planet seemed to calm, as if it were testing him. Almost done, the girl whispered. He nodded, sweat dripping into the glowing soil. One final pulse, one careful movement, and the energy stabilized. A bright wave of light spread from the stone, washing over the clearing. The shadows receded. The floating rocks fell gently to the ground. The vines relaxed. The air hummed, but now it was calm, peaceful, almost alive in a friendly way. The human sank to his knees, exhausted but alive. The alien girl looked at him, and for the first time, he saw relief, and something deeper, respect. "You saved, planet," she said simply. He shook his head. "No. We did it, together." The planet around them pulsed softly, a heartbeat of life that had accepted them. The human realized that even in a world far stranger than Earth, humans had something unique: curiosity, courage, and the ability to adapt. They could make mistakes, yes, but they could also learn, understand, and save worlds. The alien girl stepped closer and placed a small hand on his shoulder. He smiled faintly, understanding her trust. It was fragile, but it was a start. From the shadows, the larger creature watched silently before retreating back into the glowing stones. The energy of the planet remained calm, but the memory of its power lingered in every pulse of the air. The human knew that they had survived, but that the planet would always remember their actions. As they walked together out of the clearing, the alien girl pointed to the horizon, where distant mountains glimmered with strange energy. He understood this was only the beginning. The universe was vast, full of worlds that humans might not understand at first, but with courage and care, they could make a difference. The human took a deep breath, feeling the alien wind brush his face. He looked at the girl and nodded. "I'll listen. I'll learn. I won't forget." She smiled faintly, the first real smile he had seen from her, and nodded in return. Together, they moved forward into the unknown, two small figures in a giant, alive universe, ready to face whatever came next. And somewhere, deep in the glowing shadows, the planet pulsed with quiet approval, acknowledging that humans could, sometimes, rise to the challenge even in worlds far beyond their understanding.